understand. Yeah. You need to understand clearly. Because when we go out there, we'll be asking, what's this? So we also need to be your ambassadors and answer correctly, what it is, the concept of Soko janja, that we need to understand, that we then be able to explain to people what exactly it entails. So we had wanted to give you what to do and and how we come in towards the tail end.
All right, thank you. I went through all the world and something occurred to me was called epiphany, that economic development help the people. Sales the individual himself, and then of course the family and the community, and then public health, and of course national health. Economic development, that people have to be in a position to make money for themselves in order for them to improve in health. That is the basic thesis, and I say that from that perspective, health, the way it has been conceptualized, health delivery in the world is about providing things to people who don't have things, and that never works eventually because we keep providing, we keep demanding. See, and that is even the entire structure of the global health, the World Health Organization, and all that. So we never give opportunity for our people to make money, and from that, I traveled. I was in here, then I went to France, then from there I went to Boston. I was in Harvard, and I started wondering how do we make it possible for our people to make their own money instead of them waiting for someone else to come and provide things for them. Which now, in systems thinking needs something called shifting the burden. Shifting the burden is where help to someone else out there, and the people themselves do not have the money. So the solution I found after revamping the planet is two. One is that people have to be able to sell what they produce. See, if people can sell what they produce, they will have enough money to pay for themselves and to do other things. And I looked in Kenya and saw why are people not able to sell what they're producing? It's because things that we buy in the market are all imported. It's everything is imported. There is nothing local, except maybe in a market we call Soko. So the products of people produce, people make, they're either in Soko or in the Juakali market, but they're not in the mainstream market, in goods market. So the first solution to that problem is helping people to sell what they produce. That means everyone, and you can see diabetes patients finding a way to sell what they produce. They get enough money to buy their own insulin, to even pay consultation for their health. So it was very difficult initially to figure out that, because the market, say for example, if you go to the radio market, you look at more than 90% of the products there are imported. Almost everything. I would say almost 100%. You go to a supermarkets, even Nakumat. So we asked them. So I found that we're missing something important today. 25 years after the invention of the internet itself, the hypertext transfer protocol, is that everything is information, and you can convert those things that people have into information and then put them on information system and sell. And that is what is known as e-commerce, like Amazon.com. It's something like Google, something like that. So we create Soko janja as a distinctive departure from Soko Mjinga. Let's say let this Mjinga business get out of the way, and we create a way for smart Soko, a market that will help people get markets, take things to the market, and they sell them to the entire planet. You can see that if you look at the market capitalization on Nasdaq, you find that Amazon.com has the largest market capitalization in the world. And Amazon.com, one share goes for about $2,300 approximately. One share. So if you can't calculate that, Amazon.com gets a market capitalization about $2 trillion. Yeah. So Amazon.com, if you want to do something, it will just go out in the pocket. Out of that 2 trillion, you get a few $100 and they get to do something. Of course, to build such a company has taken years, about 20 years or so. Google has a market capitalization of 1.5 trillion because Google share is it's about $1,500 per share in the market. And of course, the other companies like Facebook. So you can see, about 10 years ago, those were not the most capitalized companies. The capitalized companies were petroleum companies, big five like British Petroleum, Texaco, stuff like that. But what this means is that information has arrived in the market. Information has arrived. And our people, everything they make can be turned into information very quickly. Say, for example, you get a group of women, maybe diabetic patient, they get together, they manufacture things, they sell things, they make things. They can take their pictures, put them online, and then people are going to buy them from everywhere in the world. You see? People are going to buy them for the condition that those people know that they are buying these things for a certain cost. That is the spirit of Soko Janja. To cut the pathway to access to markets for people in the communities directly. And that means we can bring the village level of commerce into the cyberspace by just taking a picture with a phone like this and then putting it on the market. So what I see for diabetes is that we need support continuous. And so if we can show all those members how to take pictures of the things they're producing every day, we cannot disassociate the economic activities of the patients from their care, because as I said from the beginning, economic development is the greatest cause of improvement in health. So if we get customers all over the world, for example, I know that if we are producing tea somewhere in Kenya, we take pictures of that tea, put it on the internet, then people in the diaspora who left the community and they went there, they can order that tea directly. So that's basically the spirit of Soko Janja. We can sell everything in the world. Okay, now that is.
So have you started doing that?
We have started doing that. Well, there have been a lot of technical issues. Of course, we developed Soko Janja itself. Soko Janja is ready for taking pictures. There are things that we have listed. We went and listed people in Kariakoo market and Bali market, in Kakuji. You want to buy those things. Now, what is challenging in Kenya is delivery. Like if somebody orders a bunch, or maybe let's say chicken, and it's let's say Kawangware or somewhere there, Kenyans are very, very active. The problem was that we don't have physical addresses to go and pick things. But a guy who was working for DHL, Kenyan, here in Nairobi, created a software called Sendy, SEND1. And now we integrate in Soko Janja, and we use it for delivery, the way DHL delivers things or FedEx. Yeah, it's very interesting. They're actually much better than FedEx. You know why? FedEx is created for a developed country where everybody has an address where things can be picked. We don't have addresses here marked out the whole country. Google can locate anyone, anywhere in this country. So using Google Maps location, the seller is now able to identify where the person who is selling is located, and then the Sandy's has listed border people, traveling companies, people with pickups, not trucks, so many. It's like Uber now. Let's say it's Uber for delivery, but then they don't differentiate for you have to have a car of this size. So when somebody orders something, a message goes to Sally, then Sally sends out to the border guys were around there. One of them, they pick them like Uber because Uber, how it works. It calls an individual driver. So they call an individual motorbike, and the motorbike goes to collect the item if it's on a motorbike. Maybe say for only for transporting within Nairobi, but they can transport anything because they even have people who are trucks, lorries. That is a space. Kenyans are very innovative still. So it is possible now to without without people having to learn the technology itself, we can just use it the way we use, Amazon. We don't know the amount of technology behind Amazon. There's a lot of it for them to be able to live. But for a country like Kenya, it's a bit more challenging because the the address system locational information was not to the point. But Lou has come here to help. They have done a lot of work to make sure that everything in Kenya is now located. So
have they done that in other African countries?
No, I was working in Nigeria, unless they have done it. I was working in Nigeria in 2013, 2014, a lot of places. If on Google Earth, just black. Yeah, Google was not in Nigeria then, but it's quite possible that was happening here from 5, 6, 7 years ago. So it's possible, but there's a lot of countries saying that Niger Delta region, that, but Kenya is very, very advanced in terms of its information system, like in the information is on the high. Of course, then the government participated very well in helping put down the internet to the community, by bringing so other countries may not be that well covered. But Google is also having satellites in the sky that are collecting information on the ground. So that if everyone has got a cell phone, they're going to locate using. So
So now to ask, so let's say like when somebody has something to sell, they just post it on Soko janja. Then somebody else picks it from another place and is interested. So he says he's interested. He pays the person now in, let's say like Kariako or.
So what happens? Soko janja, it is called checkout system. We struggled a lot with that checkout as well. Because we asked MasterCard, Visa, all these discovery cards, and they told us your region not approved. And then we knew Africa, we are not getting out of this unless we create something of our own. And that's why we build Ubricoin ourselves. Because we tried, initially we tried Bitcoin went through all these systems that accept fiat currency, that means the Kenya money, refused. And they said, we do not approve because of nation as Kenyans that we are too corrupt in the world. We don't want to allow that. Then of course they start on MasterCard. They don't want their money to be associated with their organizations. Yeah. So for that, we managed to find a site. There's a company called Pesapal here in Kenya. You know Pesapal?
Yeah. Well, heard about it.
Pesapal. Yeah. It's like PayPal, but it's not the same. PayPal eventually came in with Equity Bank. They came in Kenya with Equity Bank, and then you can check out with Pesapal. We had an agreement. These guys are Kenyans, so we know that they are local people. They are not like those MasterCard, Visa card we will try to talk to. They are local people, and so we go into an agreement with Pesapal that we can install their payment gateway on our website, and they can check out. Now the final part, the other part was delivery. So Pesapal collects the money, and Pesapal now, when you pay, that money goes to Pesapal. It's all electronic. It goes to Pesapal, and Pesapal accepts even those credit cards that are telling us our region not approved. So people can buy with credit card, those credit card and M-Pesa, and then it activates SEDI, and SEDI goes for delivery. But Pesapal integrates SEDI itself, so that even the delivery charges appear there, everything. You see? So that is just how technology is going to revolutionize this place. And I think, for me, as far as economic development, greatest cause of improvement in health, we are really incapable of achieving it. Yeah. So that is it. That's Soko janja. Any other question before I go to you?
So what kind of products do you have on Soko?
Right now, the products we listed from markets like I.E.O market, the products like from Jokali market. Jokali is in Kambodia. Yeah, those. And of course, farm produce. We have animal products like chicken, buy chicken, chicken meat, and order. So what we did is to go there and list people. We listed them through 2018 as we were listing them for free. And I think we should not charge people to come and get listed. Like now we get all these people with diabetes, we can list whatever they're producing. And what I saw, what we learned, especially when you're trying to understand this market in Kenya, is that Kenyans are not united to deliver something in large quantity. For example, initially I thought we can speak to the supermarkets and ask the supermarket, why are you not buying Kenyan products? Because the people working in these supermarkets, like neighbors, like that, they stock honey from Australia, from New Zealand, from South Africa, apples from South Africa, oranges, you know, stuff, potatoes from Egypt, and the potatoes are growing in Uganda. So we asked them, why do you go all the way to buy those things? And they said, you know, a guy from neighbors, a friend of mine, I told him, now, can you buy Kenyan eggs? No. Now that you've been buying Ugandan eggs, you buy Kenyan eggs from Kenya. And he said, sure, tell them to bring eggs. We need 5,000 trays per week. That's how much they sell neighbors from one outlet in Westlands. So I said, okay, I have a group of women in Atodo who said they can supply us. Those women, when we gave them the order, they supplied eggs only 1 week. The following week, they had no eggs to supply.
That's the problem.
What happened? Yeah, what happened?
And in Uganda, is it wholesalers who sell, or they have grouped together?
Even here, we have people saying they are wholesalers, they are big producers, we have 1,000 chickens. But there's a very big problem in our society which is making this economy not to grow. Is that when you give that order to these guys in the total, one person to the order, like now we say the order has been given to you as DMI. Instead of DMI as an organization, one person takes it and then says, I'll be collecting eggs from everybody else. That failed behavior. So that one person is collecting eggs from everyone else, and this person is not an organization that is collecting eggs from everyone to take to neighbors. And so neighbors, eventually, they say, you see, you cannot supply eggs. See, it's not me. Then we talk with Coca-Cola. You know, Coca-Cola has a division that makes fruit juice. It's called Ministry. Where do they get their fruits? From South Africa. Oranges. Yeah. They get their oranges from South Africa. So the lady who works there, no, she lives in Karen. So we had a meeting with the lady and said, can you take a group of women and buy oranges from them? They said, we have tried that. They said, what was the problem? First of all, they cannot meet the volume that's required by Coke here in the industrial area. So there's one, a shamba in South Africa, which makes thousands of acres of oranges. They can now supply those. But if you have a cooperative society, let's say a women group, or maybe whatever, people, you tell them to bring oranges, they cannot supply enough oranges to Coca-Cola. And Coca-Cola doesn't want to have oranges today, and then tomorrow they don't have, those things. So we are not able to meet the quantity. Just the quantity alone.
People need to go into large-scale farming then.
People need to be together. Unity is everything. We are so divided that even the market itself knows it. And of course, the market, we're talking about large-scale markets for small-scale subsistence producers. Is a very huge discrepancy there. And this is why it's not possible to move forward as a nation, because you have a discrepancy, large-scale market for small-scale producers. And when there's small-scale production, the next thing suffers a lot is quality. We don't know what is quality. We don't have any understanding of that. And quality, for example, for vegetables and fruits, and it's very easy to measure. It's just the size. It's the size of an orange, isn't it? So if some oranges are small, others are big, or even potatoes. If you have some small potatoes, big potatoes, they all mixed together in a bag, say from Nyandarua, you order that potatoes from Nyandarua, they come all sizes are together in the same bag. If you get potatoes from Egypt, from a big large-scale farmer, they give you one size potatoes, grade A, even grade of coffee. You know, I went to University Kimali and saw how coffee is graded. Coffee is graded by size of holes on a tray. You do like this, you shake the tray, and those ones that fall down are other grades, but grade A on top is the ones that don't go through the holes. So grading is not something so technical, it's just a small issue. We don't know that, that's why we are not getting whatever. So this is why we made janja and bypass that. People can sell things that are not necessarily graded, but eventually we need to get there. You know where people learn how to grade? Even universities. You know, all that work is our education. If you went to JPAT or went to Egerton University, they know, the students know how to grade and produce, but we don't involve them. You see, that's another thing. And I don't want to talk a lot, but we have done a lot of research. Is that quality? First of all, is quantity. You cannot supply enough quantity. We cannot supply good quality things. It's not that we don't produce anything. We produce a lot of things, but our things are not meeting the standard. We say both quantity and quality equal. And I think also is for diabetes management information center, that's really something that can be taught to the communities, do the management to show people how to make their own money by understanding quality and quantity. These things are taught in school. This is why students, we have schools education system. So it is like the third point is that we have disassociated education with the economy. So our education doesn't count when it comes to economic development. And so instead of achieving economic development, we achieve economic undevelopment, because it looks like what we learn in schools doesn't matter at all in the entire economy. That is why we are on the ujinga side of business. We call it Soko ujinga. And so ujinga is so much celebrated. Not only do we do it from the shamba level, all the way to education system. When we have people now don't know quality, quantity, because what they learn in the university is not translated outside. Then we go outside to look for people to help us, like engineers from China to construct roads. When there is JPOD producing engineers by the year here, every year there are so many of them. So we have engineers who can't get work. We even have doctors, they cannot get work. And then they choose to leave the country and go work outside, because that thing of education itself is not connected to the community or the consumer. So we cannot sell our education products. See? So ultimately, that is what I see is the leverage and how we turn around even health production in our country. I call health production itself. I use the word production instead of healthcare, because nobody has been known to care for something that wasn't produced. Did you know that? Of course, you cannot care for a baby if the baby is not born yet. So we produce health so we can take care of it. You see? And so I think that there are the three things that we can do together, helping our people understand about the quantity that is required in the market, say like to supply people like Coca-Cola, people like Kentucky Fried Chicken. Kentucky Fried Chicken buys their chicken from Egypt. The Egyptians.
No.
Yeah.
So the Egyptians really are working, doing good business.
Well, they can do life skill, they can understand scale.
But unfortunately, God is not able. His brother fell ill last night. He was taken to pick up. He's transferring him to Avenue. Yeah. They told him that we send them a recording. Okay.
So, scale, how to produce life scale. Egyptians know it. They may not be just local Egyptians. Maybe there's somebody with a large farm of maybe 1 million acres in Egypt who supplies potatoes to KFC. So I asked KFC.
KFC all over the world.
No, KFC in Africa. Yeah, that's another thing now. You see, KFC is here in Valeria, and they're selling us potato chips that are Egyptians. Egyptian. Why? Well, you can see it's a market through and through, because the eggs that are here in the egg market in Kikuyu, what is that town in Kikuyu the eggs come from? They all come from Uganda. So people are selling Ugandan eggs in Kenya. So I think we have a solution to that, which would mean the online marketplace, people bypassing whoever goes to Egypt to get potatoes does not care about people in Yadam. So all this, whoever goes, is not just a local ordinary person. These people are called middlemen. And we can bypass them using information system. See? So that is about Soko janja and why I believe that we can turn it around. Even
Hi, Eva.
morning.
You can hear us? Can you increase the sound? No. Let's increase it, it's loud. Hi, Eva.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear us. Okay, welcome. Welcome, Eva. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
We can do so that we can see both screens, I think.
All right.
Yeah, Dr. Arenge is explaining to us how this Soko janja works, and it's quite interesting. Maybe we'll just tell him to just rewind a little so that you understand. You know?
But we have
We have a recording of it.
We've captured it on record then?
Yes.
Let's just continue.
Yes.
I'll familiarize myself with the recording.
Okay.
So let's go on so that we don't delay anything.
Okay.
I'm sorry for joining so late.
Okay.
Let's just continue. And anyway, I think I have enough idea. I've gone through quite a bit of that weekend.
Oh, so yes. So yeah, we captured all this information and then we used Soko janja. Actually, Soko janja came after I looked at all this and said, there are middlemen people problem who are trying to overcome this scale problem. Scale and quality problems. We get middlemen who go out to buy things for us and bring them in. And of course, the economy never improves and health never improves. See? So we cannot produce health, and that's such foundation. So it's when we were making Soko janja that we were asking for those payment companies to help us with gateway. and they were saying your country not approved. And I almost gave up and I said, hey, we can't win here. Not only do we hate ourselves, we don't hate ourselves, we just don't know. The community doesn't know. It's not aware of the size of available market for us. And then I said, we have to build our own technology instead of telling these Europeans and Americans to give us because we are not respected in the world just because we don't build our own things. Then I said, the technologies like Visa, MasterCard are very old. They were built in the 1970s. I said, what is the latest technology for payment? He said, blockchain. If the blockchain is the latest technology to build a payment system that is based on technology that's 40 years old. So we build one, let us build one that's based on the present current technology. And so we said, what are we going to call it? We learned about everything about Bitcoin, and then I learned something that is so revolutionary that just popped in my head. Bitcoin is the first technology originally created in 2008 by a guy called Satoshi Nakamoto, or people called Satoshi Nakamoto. I say people because Satoshi disappeared, nobody knows where he is. The US government was looking for him, and of course, he went under. But Satoshi created that technology that's just amazing. Then, from Bitcoin was, because Satoshi was not there, he was not able to advance it to the next level. And everybody has to use Bitcoin if we stop there. Then there comes another young guy, extremely young. He was 15 years old, known as Vitalik Buterin. He you could call as one of those savants, very smart. He was working for Bitcoin when he was young, from as a computer game. And he said this Bitcoin is not good enough because it is the only one. It doesn't allow anybody else to create something. He said, let me tell you what you're going to do. Let's create an all-purpose blockchain where people can create their own coins. And he called it Ethereum. So he managed to get that Ethereum after so much struggle, maybe 5 years later. And so on Ethereum, you can build your own cryptocurrency to solve your own problem. When I was studying that, I found in 2016, now this was in 2018 in the beginning, 2016, other people created cryptocurrencies on the Ethereum platform, and some people have managed to fund their projects, others have collapsed. But what was interesting is that you could create your own currency, and then that currency turns into cash, and then you can use it to finance whatever you want, so long as you can get the community to buy into the currency. So this cryptocurrency, we are not going to go into much detail today because of time. It bypasses the traditional currency. Let's say the spirit of the currency itself, money. And you see, the reason why Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin is because they saw that money was rigged as much as our market is rigged here for produce. We don't have market for our produce. Market seems to be centralized to a few guys, brokers, who bring, it looks like a cartel, who bring things from outside for our people. But money itself is even much worse because money is under the control of governments. And money, when it was invented a long time ago, maybe those centuries backward, was mercantile, people for trading, for exchanging value. Merchants, it was not governments. Government came to own money much later. But then that has become so centralized that even you have central banks in every country. And that creates centralized economy. And so what Satoshi saw is that centralization of money has also created a lot of poverty in itself. Why to create centralized money? So he made Bitcoin and say, now you can make decentralized cryptocurrencies, and people have been very innovative, including taking those currencies in exchanges that are global. That now you can get value for money from the entire world, just like you can get market in Soko janja from the entire world. So these two things, Soko janja and cryptocurrency, they are just the same spirit and of course the philosophy of complete decentralization. And you see everything in the world occurs in a decentralized manner. So there's a big mismatch and decentralized occurrence of say of diseases, and that's where it now blockchain becomes very very important. Of course, most of the governments in the world don't want people to know that, because what it would mean if everybody knew that decentralized money can work very well. People are going to go to decentralized money, and the centralized money just dies off. See? And central banks lose their job. But that's not the idea. We're not going to fight government, but the key is to make money available. So maybe we talked about the technologies of the cryptocurrency, the blockchain technology the first time. We don't need to talk about that anymore, but maybe unless there are questions. What we need to explain is how the technology like Ubricoin makes it possible to reach out for money that can fund the projects that we have in here. Even project fund the financing of what people in the communities do to produce more. Now, the cryptocurrency itself has got 5 characteristics. Let's say 4. Yeah, it's decentralized. First of all, it's totally decentralized, and second, it is not. It's not stopped by anyone. It doesn't stop. It's not stopped at the border of the nation. It's borderless or borderless. That cryptocurrency is the same money works in Kenya. Is it just going to work in the United States, or is it going to work in Uganda? So there is no. It's uncensored. There is no censorship. Today, if you want to send money somewhere, Kenya shillings, you go to a bank. They take it through the censorship process. First of all, they find out should you be sending money? Are you, a lot of issues they have to look at. And before that money gets to where you are sending it, like if it's in cross-border transfer, it comes through about 3 or 4 days, sometimes 5 days, sometimes a week. So if you needed money for Medicare right now, if you had an accident and somebody is in another country, that money is going to appear weekly. So you can see this centralized money has not helped a lot, even in health. Now, because cryptocurrency is registered in exchanges, it works as a security or an asset. So you can see that the currency itself, and of course there has been a lot of debates in the American government, and of course them creating a process of understanding of cryptos in a place like Kenya and Central Bank is this cryptocurrency money? Is it real money? Yeah, of course that one is already accepted. People will buy bitcoins, it's money, and then they buy it as a store of value. If it's a store of value, that means is it a commodity like gold? Yeah. So that is now totally accepted. And the question is who regulates that? They don't know yet. So commodity futures and trading Commission of the United States say that is our domain. We are going to work on that. So we are working on it. We haven't released regulations that are still going to say treat cryptocurrency like it is like share in a common stock in a company where you buy it and then it builds value for you. Yeah, they are not totally decided about that also. And so Securities Exchange Commission in the United States, that's our domain. We are going to look at it. So at this time, the US, you see, it's either money, which you can exchange value, it's called unit of exchange, It's either a commodity. So the US government has said, let us just watch this innovation, let it develop, because if you put too many regulations, it's not going to develop. And that's the spirit we have in Kenya. So where I see the opportunity, so I can explain now the opportunity for us together with DMI, is that we are able to reach for money for support. Say for example, we have worked a lot with the diaspora because for me I was in the US for 20 years, came here when I got 3 years ago. So my connections are still there. And most people in the US, they send money every day here in Kenya. It's called remittances. You know, remittances in Kenya is how much now? It's about, no, 1.5 billion year dollars. Is about $2 billion they send every year. Remittances from the United States to Kenya. And that 1.5 billion or $2 billion takes care of about 1% of Kenyan GDP. So you can say our GDP, at least a portion of it, significant portion, it comes from remittances, people sending money home. So people send money here to do what? They send money for health, like to buy medicines, tablets for their people, their families, relatives. And of course they also send money for investments. But we are finding them very interested in supporting. Now when you created the Ubricoin itself, it becomes a direct pathway for them to send money to Kenya. You see? They are sending money here to support projects that, and of course, when that money comes here, it just disappears. You can't know where it's going because it doesn't build the health system. The health system is not improving. It is just with the same spot. Where I think, and of course, we cannot show what is the return on investment for that. But now, cryptocurrencies, instead of saving money, they would buy Ubricoins itself. So they have spent money buying the Ubricoin, but they're still with the money. The money doesn't leave them, it's an sort of investment. Because now we're able to use the cryptocurrency to represent that value. And that is what I would like to propose us to DMI. That we use our Ubricoin, we tell the people in the United States, there are so many groups of people there trying to help in Kenya, and we tell them, buy Ubricoin and all that money is going to go to the DMI, or maybe, yeah, it sounds something like that. So that is how I see this helping here in the country. That buy Ubricoin wherever you are, you don't have to move, and that money is going to come down in the school.
So now when they buy, now when they give you the money,
Yeah.
they still keep their shares.
They keep their Ubricoins.
Oh, so they don't lose.
They don't lose.
Oh.
It's amazing how this economy is ready to be versatile. So, and in fact, the more people buy Ubricoin, the greater the value of Ubricoin. You see? It's a game theory, you know. If we win, if the whole team wins, everybody wins. Unlike what we were seeing with heads, where there was no theoretical concern, where one person wants to be the richest, all the people in the total village by delivering X to 9 plus, then nobody delivers X. You see, that is John Nash, 1949. You know John Nash? You saw that Beautiful Mind, the movie? John Nash, The Beautiful Mind. Yeah. He's the one who came with that game theory explanation in economics. If the team wins, everybody wins. So that is the spirit of cryptocurrency. If the team wins, everybody wins. You know that the winning is not centralized, the decentralized winning system. So what could be very, very useful for this meeting, we come out with an idea how this can be done. Ubricoin is already in the market. Yeah, it's selling. So if you're going to give money to diabetes, we say we assign so many Ubricoins to BMI, and we tell people to buy them. And when they buy them, that money comes to BMI. Yeah? Maybe we only take a little administration money for running the administration fee in the organization, you know. But Ubricoins are there, and they are going to be traded. Okay. I think there's something wrong in the way we view diseases in this planet. See, we're talking about WHO. The World Health Organization is concerned about what? Infectious diseases. You see? But infectious diseases are not the greatest problem in the world. We have non-communicable diseases, and we need money for that. But it looks like the total allocation and the rhetoric of the World Health Organization involves infectious diseases. Only three actually: HIV, TB, malaria. And of course, Corona has just showed up the other day so that you can take a position. But the other diseases have no interest to many of these here public funding is what is going to make us break through this problem. It's going to make us help us break, to understand that number one is to bring the individual, not the entire nation of public, the individual himself at the center of these issues. Because disease affects an individual person, it doesn't affect the public. So if from that perspective you can see there's no public health. We have the individual health.
How much is the worth of the Ubricoin?
Ubricoin is, it's not yet a shilling. Is it a shilling? No, it's about 22 cents a shilling. But if we decide how many Ubricoins we're going to allocate to that, and we ask people to buy those Ubricoins to fund diabetes, we can tell them to buy it at a shilling. You know, people will buy one Ubricoin at a shilling, but they keep the coins. The fiat currency comes here. So they keep the coins, but fiat currency comes this way. Fiat currency, the Kenyan shillings. Now those people in the diaspora would keep US dollars. I would keep Ubricoin, and they send US dollars this way. Okay?
So you would select the ones that you would give DMI, you would select a little bit.
We say we can sell it at 1 shilling or 2 shilling, even 100 shillings, depending on what we agree. Yeah, but so that it can match the market, we sell it at 1 shilling. We set aside, say, 100 million Ubricoins for diabetes, and we let people buy. We announce it. We announce it now. That money, when they're buying it, it's sent by M-Pesa. You know, M-Pesa also even from the US, they can send money by M-Pesa through Wave. When it's sent, it comes to an account, then money gets, even with the account, it's sent, we create together. We just figure out how it's going to come to the EMI. Yeah.
Okay.
That is how decentralized money is working. And in fact, all those Europeans who won't support diabetes work in Africa get involved. And then we can propose to do even more advanced things. Things about knowledge itself, helping our people to understand how the market works, you know, how the economy works, you know, connecting that university education with the village level knowledge. You know, the knowledge in the university is very high about doing some things. And the knowledge in the village is very, very low. That difference, this knowledge in university and the knowledge in the village is known as entropy. Ever heard of entropy? Entropy is second law of thermodynamics.
Yes.
So that is the second law of thermodynamics. And that entropy is from, entropy, second law, it says that it's called disorder, But in information theory, entropy is the amount of information you have after the information has been delivered. So what is happening is that the university has so much information about these issues, quality, quantity, scale, things like that, about products. The people in the village have no information. So to solve that problem, the difference between what people know in the university and people know in the village, now that creates a very huge entropy. And that difference is where the opportunity lies. Like, how do we make knowledge in the university flow to the village? Right now, the knowledge in the university doesn't flow anywhere. And in that state, a university looks like an ivory tower. You know about ivory tower? It's just tower where everybody knows a lot of lofty stuff. And here we are in communities like Jokali Market. Nobody knows anything. And they make things by Jokali way. It's high deflation knowledge. In the village, low entropy. So to take that high entropy knowledge from the high entropy side to low entropy side, you need a low entropy channel. Just like if you wanted to land airlines in an airport, you have to have an airport. Low entropy channel is a channel that is stable, and currency, cryptocurrency is very money, or currency. Fiat currency is high entropy. And I can tell you, while we worked at that mathematics, it's not physics. But cryptocurrency is low entropy money that can get that information out of the university. That means that if people bought Ubricoins to support diabetes, we are now able to support that research for diabetes and to find out the public health issues about the distribution of the burden of disease, years of life, quality of life for diabetes, and even clinical scientific research itself to find out the effect of diabetes in the human body, which we don't have much of that so far, and biological research. So all that stuff, and then of course this market data, market research is financeable with cryptocurrency. Why is Kenya shilling not able to do that? Kenya shilling is high entropy money. Why is it high entropy? First of all, it's how it's created. Kenya shilling is not available for getting knowledge from a university to the village. And even if you try to take it to the university, it doesn't work. Why? This high entropy means that the way Kenya shilling is issued or created by the central bank is only created for those people with money. That means that if you don't have money, you will never have money, because money is created only for those people who have title deeds, titles and deeds of things, so you can take to the bank. And when you take the bank, you borrow the money out, then the bank starts creating money. You see? Central bank only creates only 5% of the money available in circulation. The rest of the money is created by commercial banks. So when money is created by commercial banks, it means that commercial banks have to create loans in order for money to be possible. If they don't do that, then there's no banking system. And when they do that, that creates a lot of entropy. Entropy means so much noise in the money, so much noise in the channel for money creation. And so if you're in the university and you have a project that needs finance, say you want to go and help people of Nyadaro to measure quality operators, you have to get that as a grant from the university, through the university, and that grant is maybe coming from somewhere in the government, and that money gets, before you get that grant, it's a long, long time. When the grant comes out, goes to the university, and the university determines how many shillings you're going to get per month. They even decide what you're going to buy from it. It's just a lot of noise. So that money is said to be extremely noisy. And we look at the entropy equation for money, we say that what is the effect of such noise on the economy itself, and why does fiat currency have so much noise? We say that entropy, that is the channel itself, the channel capacity, which now channel capacity of the machines to translate knowledge is equals to, you know that equation? Is equal to what? The channel capacity is equal to the bandwidth. See, the amount of money we request, yeah? Or we say, for example, we need 100 million shillings to do this. Bandwidth, let's call that a bandwidth, the capacity, multiplied by log to base 2, yeah, of signal over the noise ratio. Signal over noise ratio. Now, what's important here is not the bandwidth. You can have as much money. The signal itself is the knowledge in the person, say at Jacob. The noise is what I've just told you, the noise in the money. If not, the noise is at the denominator. If the noise is high, then it doesn't matter how much signal you have, how many values you have. This signal over noise is a logarithmic log to base 2. And it comes to 0, which log of 0 is 1. And this means that this means that the equation never works, because the capacity of the money itself doesn't deliver. And of course, we can show that we have done many calculations that you get to see the capacity for fiat currency. And what in African countries, I don't know maybe about you. In United States, for example, they're able to overpass that by creating what's called venture money, which is not money coming from government, it's individuals' pocket. But even then, it still also causes a lot of noise. So for this knowledge, to transport knowledge from here to the village, you need a system that has got very, very high capacity and low noise. And the equation for it is that straightforward. It is the capacity of the channel is equals to the bandwidth multiplied. And I told you why it's called, well, I mentioned before why it is base 2 log. Why is it base 2? Because it's information theory. Information talks about binary digits, which is 0 and 1. That's why it's log to base 2. Those are technical details from the information theory itself. So I believe that even for transporting money for selling money from outside the country into the country, inside the country, doesn't have so much noise, because we don't have all these issues of censorship of the money that's being sent. Censorship is out, so that removes the noise, and cryptocurrency is money with very, very high capacity for doing what you do. Channel capacity.
Any question? This has become clearer.
I know that.
I am grateful, yeah, for it has become more clearer, how it will work. And here locally, you're also encouraging people to buy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so how do you go out and market, or you go online?
Well, it's interesting in Kenya. Kenya is very advanced, by the way. Young people.
Yeah.
There's a thing for the millennials. Yeah. First of all, to understand this channel capacity thing, we did some work in JQuad. For 1 full year, we went to JQuad every week, because I was wondering, why is the knowledge in JQuad not moving outside? to think are super high. So you know, J.Quad is an engineering school. It's the biggest university. And I said to my driver, do you think we in Moranga now? And there is no sign anywhere that tells you have arrived at the university. You can see the knowledge in J.Quad is not coming out. So there's nobody in J.Quad. There's no one in J.Quad involved in construction of data superhighway that is passing right outside. So we got very interested in that question. So when we finally found out a way of getting it, look, you have to go around, then you have it's not visible on the highway. So I said, I would like to see the transportation engineering department. So when we went there, they are supposed to have a transportation lab. They have the room like this, maybe bigger than this. But there is nothing in that lab. There was only 2 sacks of soil. Then I said, yeah, if this is it. They say, yeah, and what about the 2 sacks of soil? They say, they're not even out, they belong to geology department. You see? And those people are learning how to create roads like big superhighway. And then what about where they do design for airports, ports, and things like that? That doesn't exist. So then I said, what the students who come here and learn engineering, transportation engineering, where do they go? See, they are not facing that question, but the students themselves have read the books, they have theory, they have passed the exams, and they have graduated. And they graduate every year. That is one thing. The knowledge itself is not structured in a way to help us do the things that we actually need. Now, the other thing I found there, J.Quad has in financial engineering. So I went to, because it's about money, financial engineering at J.Quad. They told me they started financial engineering 10 years early, 2010. They introduced the Department of Financial Engineering at J.Quad. And financial engineering now talks about, they would know how to create derivatives. Yeah, using mathematics, computer science to help create money and raise money. And even then, they don't have any practical projects to do in Kenya. So if we combine financial engineering with the road transportation system or the transportation infrastructure, you see that something like that can work. So I say, what is it that knowledge people are learning there is not even moving up, financial engineering? And it found that there is serious problem. There are much more projects in J.Quad. J.Quad has done a lot of agricultural projects that are directly available for Wananchi, but even that knowledge doesn't move out. They have a huge banana project in J.Quad. You do tissue culture bananas, they have a huge laboratory, of course funded from the West. But that tissue culture is not very well known in our communities. So they have PhDs coming with tissue culture, biology knowledge, even genetic engineering, things like that. So that knowledge is not leaving the university. Why? That is when we studied deeper and we found about this channel equation. The channel itself is full of noise. Too much noise in the channel prevents the signal, the S signal, from getting out of the university to come down to the community. You see? So that is then in terms of working with young people, of course the young people had bypassed that, the millennials. We found there's the guys in colleges, universities, even there's another guy working at the University of Nairobi who want to learn about crypto. They learn very quickly. And because this is a project, this is something they can do on their own, like when they get to Facebook and send messages on Facebook and social media, now they can trade money. They totally understand that, and the understanding is very, very quick. So I think the university students are the best opportunity. Even say, went to the University of Nairobi here, medical school, and we talk about diseases like diabetes and cryptocurrency. That thing moves very quickly. Yeah, and I think the university has big crowds. We also have guys from KU economic students. There's one guy who is known as what? Chagua, Cliff Jagua. I talked with him on a regular basis, even yesterday he called me. So I told him now we're going to do a project on diabetes disease. He's an economic student. And together with all the economic students, we get together and work on supporting diabetes in Kenya. Like here. The University of Nairobi student is in Lower Kabete campus, and that is School of Business. He told me that they are now going to school online, and they have student groups of about the total number of students about 3,500, and that's a huge community of young people getting interested in cryptos. The reason this is the economy, and of course they are not getting jobs. Now for them, for the young people, cryptocurrency gives them something new business, because they can actually sell cryptos, they can buy and sell cryptos and make money. It is their occupation. You see? Unlike us when you were growing up, there was no source of capital or cash from anywhere except, if you got a job from someone. But what you're learning from the university students, like in economics and those ones in business, and that's the one in JQuat, we found so many of them engineers, is that problem of employment is unemployment rate is about 85% of unemployment for our students. So that is the student community, the millennials. But now the older generation, of course, is very skeptical, as usual. So the doctors who are my age, they say this whole thing is a scam, we don't know. And some of them, we have some doctors, like Dr. KU, a gentleman who was my classmate, called Dr. Mirori. He's very, very positive and open. And we went to KU and worked with his students to get into the crypto world. But now my generation, a lot of people is just skepticism for no reason. Or maybe there's a reason. It's probably the negative reports that came from the CBK at the beginning of the times, but CBK now is quiet. You see? So there's a huge skepticism in the older generation and say that cryptocurrency maybe is technology for millennials, in terms of adoption. But that is the way that's what we were talking when M-Pesa came. With that, M-Pesa was technology for the young generation. Then, after a few years, everybody is on M-Pesa. Even if you're sure. Yeah, everybody is on M-Pesa, and that's how cryptocurrency is going to go.
That's interesting. Now we see how we begin to fit in.
Yeah,
in terms of the Soko janja for our patients and maybe communities that we can gather together. And especially like this diabetic community, because in each and every area there are diabetes support group. So it would be good to be able to sell your produce.
Yeah.
That's one. The other one was now concerning the projects, because like we said, I mentioned a bit earlier, one of the things we are trying to do is to reach the public.
Yeah.
If we would be able to go out and screen people in the communities and then put up a simple clinic.
Yes.
Because see, people who develop these NCDs, they need to go to hospital often, pick their supplies. And most of those people who are in the Soko are usually very busy. They don't have time to travel to the hospital, spend a whole day. So we're feeling if we'd be able to avail these services to them at their local site, this would really, really impact positively. We screen them, we educate them, we give them a place where they can be going for regular checkup and be able to get their supplies. So that definitely requires a bit of money. And as you know, we didn't have our diabetes walk this year. So we are struggling, trying to raise funds. And we felt this is one thing we can also do with you.
So that's what you well, we have done extensive research about that issue of how do people get care. It's called access
Access to care.
Access to care. So when I was in Nigeria, we went to the marketplace to interview some women who really got angry with the doctors. You doctors, all you do is sit in your clinics and expect us to go there. Is that we don't make money at the clinics, we spend the whole day, and that is the whole market day. Then it occurred to me, what if we brought the clinics to the people? So one of the projects we want to support is called the URCC, Ubrica Retail Clinical Center. And we have told our investors and board members that we need, in order for that to be effective, we have to build at least 2 retail clinical centers in every county. And we can have more if we simplify the idea. When I was in Texas University, the School of Architecture, we designed a retail clinical center. A retail clinical center, the word retail means marketplace. So the retail, let's say retail clinical center has got components. It is close to the market, or it has a marketplace itself. It has a project value addition center or workshop where people are taught. They are taught how to improve the quality of the products and how to package them well. And then it has the clinical center, the health center, and it has mainly there are those 3 components: a retail center, a produce value addition center, and in a health center. So if these things don't work together, then we have no universal access. Because when we're talking about universal, you see that speaks directly to universal health itself. We cannot build hospitals or centers, the primary care centers, separate from the marketplace and hope that wananchi are going to benefit from it. Because wananchi, the mothers go to the clinic, so separating they go to the clinic and then they do their work in the market. Separating the clinic from the market means creating another day.
Center is up with something, the project we had funded, it was funded by the parent. And when we were going down in Nyeri, the tea growing area, near my home area, I asked them why they were not coming for the diabetes checkup, which he had at a health center. He said, well, for this tea, you have to pick this tea, take it to the buying centers,
and then care from the economic activity of the people. Now, I think this is great. I'm just supporting what you're saying, and we have a whole blueprint of how to make such a thing happen. Now, this is even why we went to the universities, because those produce value addition centers, produce have to be added value. To add value to a produce is to add knowledge, the knowledge itself. Now, if we know what our university counted, so we can get that knowledge from that university, bring it to the marketplace where they're doing those screenings. It doesn't have to be a very elaborate center building up anything too much. It is just a place that brings those forces together. The knowledge is coming from university, the clinical people are there, and then there's a marketplace that's already existing. Yeah, you see, and not just the knowledge in medicine, we bring the knowledge to help people add value to whatever they produce in that particular marketplace. So I think we can do it. Now, in terms of that, when you're allocating UBNs, of course, we have allocated UBNs for those clinics. To give you the big picture, is that we created 20 billion UBNs. About 3.6 billion UBNs are for the URCC, the retail clinical centers. Yeah? And 3.6 billion UBNs. So that's the amount of money if we manage to do it. Yeah. That is right. We fight, we deserve that thing. Then of course, in the world, we shall be a place to look at, people will be saying, hey, how are Kenyans doing it? Just like they're talking about M-Pesa today. It's only, money was not available. Now we have these billions of UBNs, and these billions of UBNs for creating retail clinical centers. And these retail clinical centers can be available in every village if we manage to activate that money properly. If that money, if UBN we say it's 1 shilling, then it will be going, we have 3.6 billion, but most people in our board say that UBN, let's take the price up to $1. That's 100 shillings. To them, people in the diaspora, $1 is nothing, but here it can be very expensive for a lot of people. That's 100 shillings. So if UBN is $1, that means it's going to trade even in the international currency market for $1. That's 100 shillings, and that now activates a lot of money to come this way. So that is, well, that sounds like a dream world, but it is really happening in front of our eyes. It's like the way now we're able to make WhatsApp calls everywhere in the world. On condition you have access to internet. Similarly, on condition you have access to internet, we can mobilize money from the entire world here. And then we can now start high-level manufacturing. I've seen that the idea of manufacturing or this, what eventually looks like very sophisticated products, it usually starts, it's very, very simple. Like the way I was explaining to you about working with Sandy. Sandy is made by a Kenyan here. But that Sandy, they are now solving delivery problems in the entire African continent. Yeah. So things, just like M-Pesa, look like a very simple piece of software code, but then it's able to facilitate transfer of money from, even from diaspora can send money through M-Pesa. Yeah, things like that. So we are totally able to do things like that. So yeah, I cut you short.
Yeah. At least that's what I was thinking. I mean, you can call it half the sentence, have both your name and our name, because ideally one would, it will have the two purposes. Ubrica and EMI.
Well, if we find, just like we help raise the money, the name is really.
Yeah, I'm saying that because it would serve that purpose. The other thing I thought we would also be able to work together is reaching out to children in school, like you shared with you, promoting healthy living in children. I had also thought this is a project that would really be helpful. And now doing the two things. Introducing this concept of cryptocurrency to children in a small way, so that at least at the back of their minds, they have an idea, there's something, and how they can add value. One of the things in the project we're doing with the children, they were being taught how to keep a vegetable garden in school and at home. I don't know whether you got a copy of the book. Did somebody pick it from the office?
No.
Oh, you never picked it. Okay, Sarah will get you one.
Oh,
Well, basically, maybe Catherine can summarize what they did.
Okay.
It was
It was a 4-year plan, which adopted a whole school approach, which meant we were working with the children, the teachers, the parents, and the community surrounding the school. So essentially, it was to promote healthy living with a focus on nutrition and physical activity, and also teach them, create awareness about diabetes and other NCDs. And also, basically, in the sense that if you teach them how their stadium,
before they have adopted other habits, the chances are that they will maintain those habits as they grow into adolescence and beyond.
Yeah.
We're working with pre-adolescent children around age 10 to 12 and with their teachers as well. So as Dr. Nancy had said, one of the things we did was to set up vegetable gardens. We taught them how to, we kind of encouraged them to start vegetable gardens as a source of healthy nutritious vegetables. We spoke about issues of healthy diets and what a healthy diet comprises of in terms of even food portions and all those issues, because of course, as you're aware, the obesity epidemic, especially in urban centers in our country, is creeping up. And then even the aspect of lack of physical activity amongst children and even teachers.
Yeah.
I think you're aware that our education system is very exam academic focused.
Yeah.
And they just like rote learning and nothing else happens. So one of the things we did was to get the children to make their own materials, the education materials, the play materials, and then the community gardens. And we realized that they don't have opportunity to be creative, or at least to explore their creative talents, because everything is just maths, English, science, whatever. And also because of the exam focus, a lot of the non-academic subjects, for example, PE, which is scheduled as is required by the curriculum, is often taken over and used as a remedial lesson to catch up on maths or English. Because at the end of the day, the need grade of the school seems to be paramount above the health of the child. And we also discovered that in some of the private schools, worked in public and private, the public schools were more accommodating in terms of learning things outside the curriculum.
Yeah.
The private schools were very focused on ensuring that the child spends as much time as possible in academics. So even in terms of PE and games, they were kind of, they really didn't appreciate the value of physical activity as part of a healthy lifestyle. So as part of the program, we also screened the teachers. We educated them on how to mainstream diabetes and NCDs and health into their core subjects. So if, for example, they were doing an English lesson, we would probably do an essay on what is diabetes or what is health.
Yeah.
Just get the children involved in actually applying whatever it is that they were learning without necessarily going outside the curriculum. Because we also didn't want to run afoul of the Ministry of Education. They had given us permission to go into schools. But of course, the primary focus was on completing the curriculum. So this is a magazine which is a compilation of different activities that children did. You can see the kind of materials they made, the kitchen gadgets. Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah, so just an illustration of what happened in the project.
Wow.
Yeah. But as we said, it was basically focused on a participatory approach, getting the children as involved as much as disseminating information, healthy living on diabetes and other things. Yeah. So I think essentially that was it. And the schools were located in different regions. We had, as I said, private and public. We worked in different counties in Nairobi as a capital center, metropolitan center. We went to Narok as a more pastoralist kind of community, and also we went to Kirinyaga, which is an agricultural area where they do a lot of rice and other vegetables. We went to I.C.O and a semi-arid area with a nomadic lifestyle, and it was interesting just getting to see the different terrains. Yeah. And then where was the other one? Kitui? Oh yes, and then Kitui, which was also again semi-arid and dry. And Machakos, which again was kind of more urban, but still rural. So in each of the centers, we chose a public and a private school, at least initially. Although in the end, we ended up working in public schools only because we were more accommodating. And also, we felt the need of creating the awareness of probably higher in those communities because they don't have access to a lot of information. Yeah, so I think
And then you find that within the class, you need more students because in a private school, you have 25 pupils. In a public school, you have maybe about 50. So in terms of the spreading out the information, you are getting. And the public school, the private school, their focus was the curriculum. They have to finalize and the passing of the exams.
Yeah, schools can be very
And I
effective.
was just thinking, one of the things maybe that one would want to add on, our country being more of agriculture, and one way the economy will peak is when we look at the agriculture and see how we can add value to this agriculture. Yeah, and you see, maybe if we were to go through it again, we would also teach children simple ways of adding value. And they will communicate to their parents so that they can now be able to sell their produce and also ways to sell their produce. You know, we can use some of the concepts of Soko janja to these children. You know, kids are chap and they can, yeah. And to me, I believe there can be such a revolution in children just helping their parents. Because you realize the problem with the community out there. People farm the same way they have always farmed that has not been successful, and they continue doing it year in, year out. They market their products the same way, they don't add value. So this can be something that will help us to now penetrate, because most of these kids are not getting jobs. And they're in the village, they're idle. But if you would challenge them, I believe as they grow older, they can then begin to see, actually with this same shamba, I can be able to farm, I can be able to do things.
There is
sorry, I was just going to say there is also the need for a mind shift. In the sense that even now there are young people who are going into farming and they're doing it online, sourcing their markets and everything. And a lot of people, I mean, okay, not a lot, but from what you read even in the press, people who have gone into farming and they're really doing well because of the way they're doing it.
Last night, my daughter, we were arguing with my daughter, and then she was telling me, you're very old-fashioned. You believe in employment. Whereas we young people, we are entrepreneurs. We want to go out there, and because I was telling her about somebody who wants to resign and go into farming. So she was telling me that the idea of farming that I have is very old-fashioned as compared to the young people now who have really gone into farming.
Yeah, they're going into farming. I think schools very, very good avenue for communicating with the community. There's nobody in the world that learns as much as young children. They learn so fast and able to adapt to ideas very quickly. And they can change in terms of even the health of the nation. Young children can learn, and the economy itself. They have a very big role in the economy. As I told you, ethereum was created by a 15-year-old boy. And he was in high school. Why did he do that? Because young people have got time. There's a difference. Young people in the Western society, the young children stay at home. They have their parents paying them for everything, paying for them everything, including going to class, to computer games and stuff like that. But in our communities, young kids, when they come from school, they don't have structured activities. They go to play on each other.
No, but our country, they have very structured activities. They have to go and fetch water, they have to do chores in the household.
That's right.
So the ones they talk about are probably the urban
ones. Yeah.
Then also, I think our children don't have a life. Their life is school.
Yes.
That's it.
So yes, we can have an effect and have awareness in the community. I know that Japan itself tried to assess the technological understanding in our student community. You know, Jacob, they support this group here in Karen, which is known as Samostia. You know Samostia? Samostia is a center for mathematics, science, and technology. Yeah, that's a huge disconnect. Right? Japan comes to Samostia and gives money to Samostia for education, but those are things we are going to discuss. But there's money for that even from data. They have data in data. But the problem is that when Japan takes knowledge, they take it back to their country and then they use it for manufacturing. They don't teach. They don't use it to teach our people. Those Samastia guys approached me. I mean, not Samastia, Japanese data, which we are going to contribute for that because I think Japan is interested in non-communicable diseases. But we have to be careful with those people. They want to support projects that are going to bring money back to Japan, which that is something you have to watch out for. Japan is the greatest supporter, was the greatest supporter for J-Coin. Yeah, and the amount of vehicle research in J-Coin, they took all that knowledge, took it back to Japan, to Mitsubishi. You know this Mitsubishi Pajeros, and all those brothers, knowledge from J-Coin. Yeah. I'm not lying, if they're recording, they know. That is what it is. The pyrethrum, I was telling my niece yesterday about pyrethrum story. You know pyrethrum comes from Nakuru?
Yeah, Nakuru area.
Nakuru area, and with about 2,000 farmers, we had pyrethrum board. And pyrethrum was taken by Japanese people when they were here. They went and characterized that molecule and gave bacteria to manufacture it through what we call biomedical, just like insulin is now produced by bacteria, human bacteria. So this pyrethrum that we produce in Japan is known as pyrethroid. Pyrethroid is the key ingredient for the ITS, insecticide treated nets. You know that? The ITS, mosquito nets, that's which eyes and Leo gets to bring to Kibera. So when I met those guys, these guys are in Boston, in Harvard School of Medicine, School of Public Health. People who write these foundations. I told them, okay, instead of bringing mosquito nets to Africa, these mosquito nets are made in China. They impregnated with pyrethroid from Japan. Why don't you go and buy pyrethroid from and they told, they didn't know this pyrethroid. So the WHO has got a big blind spot. They do not know that we have pyrethrum here on the ground. They don't know. So that project became a big deal because I talked to the guys who were charged about the project, telling them, listen, you will not be taking pyrethroid to people who grow pyrethroid. You're driving those guys much further down in poverty instead of that's a long project. We talked about that a lot with them, and then eventually we tried to work with Kemunya. He was now the Minister of Finance. Kemunya denied having any problems. You know, the Minister of the United States denied that, and they went to Tanzania. They built a pyrethrum manufacturing plant in Tanzania. No, Japan, supported by some group. But what I'm not sure is whether they're buying pyrethrum from Monanji to do that. So basically, those are global politics. I don't want us to get involved in that. But these are things we can do ourselves. We can even build a pyrethrum manufacturing plant. Let me tell you, Kenyan pyrethrum coming all the way from East Africa, all the way to Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda. It's very, very high effective insecticide. It's a natural pyrethrum. Of course, the good thing about natural pyrethrum is that it decays. You know, it doesn't. It's not stable. That's why it's kept. It's stored in amber-colored bottles. It is destroyed like sunlight. And that is also good for the human body because it's biodegradable. Now, the palladium that comes from Japan is stabilized in the cyanide molecule. And when it's stabilized, that's for stability, so it doesn't decay. It's non-decayable. So if you put a baby inside under the net of that palladium fluid, not palladium, it doesn't decay. It can attach the brain cell. If you brain cell that is during the moment when baby is young, they're migrating and forming Purkinje cells or cerebellum. They are not fully formed until maybe a year later. So at 1 year later, it will be affected by that palladium. But we don't even hear stuff like that. Nobody talks about it. See, and anyway, that came about because of Japan. I digress. But I know that there are things we can even to rescue our country. Because there was so much money. That is the rollback malaria program, where the WHO had raised $1.2 billion to roll back malaria in 1998. But that money did not roll back malaria anyway. What it did is malaria multiplied because of that, eventually. And if we're going to be very, very effective in this diversity, I think getting into schools, high schools, primary schools is very, very important. We have to teach our kids the right technologies. Who knows? Maybe they're next one to build a blockchain for us. Just like these guys are building Selig is built by Kenya, in Kenya. Just like M-Pesa was built maybe in Kenya. And we generally have to get that knowledge. As far as cryptocurrency understanding, that is very good. And it's very easy for them. There is no house today that make without a telephone. Simple phone. I don't think there's a family without a phone today. So if we say that everything is information, we have very serious reach in the communities. And of course, I saw the Ministry of Information reporting that we have 95% coverage, cellular coverage in the country. Meaning
It's even higher.
95. It's more than 100 because there's more than one phone.
Yeah, more than one phone. Maybe
In
that's
the family, even in an individual. Like in Nigeria, people carry 4 phones. I don't know. Yeah, because
like for me, I have 3 of them.
yeah, you see. So the percentage maybe coverage is more than 100. If we can have that universal coverage of information, can we have universal coverage of health? See? Yeah, we can. Yes, we can. If everything, if we can have universal coverage of information, can we have universal coverage of health? And this is why this working with the Ministry of Education very, very important. And we talk about these things, but also the Ministry of Information to learn from them how they have managed to achieve universal coverage of information. How has the Ministry of Information managed to achieve universal coverage of information? And that is the trick. We have and we bring them on board. You see? How has the Ministry of Information managed to achieve universal coverage of information? What have they done? You know what the secret is? Removing information from the government. Privatizing information. That is how. Maybe, I'm not saying that we have to privatize all health, but maybe that's my solution. But privatizing the production itself. Production meaning making individuals themselves be able to produce health. You see, that is privatized, the private capacity of every individual to produce their own health. Rather than thinking they treated, they know that they can produce their own health right where they are. And of course, that is going to be able to work very well. If we now now combine information system because information is totally privatized. In private sector, companies like Amazon, Google, all private enterprises. That's why they are very, very effective. And we privatize health itself, the idea of producing health, and we say this is about private individual. Every individual is entitled to good health. And every individual is a private owner, exclusive private owner of his body and the health of his body. Every individual is private, exclusive owner of his body and the health of his body. That every individual does not just own the body when it is healthy. When it gets sick, then it becomes a government problem. Still, that is the way it is. When the individual's body gets sick, that's a government problem. You go to a government hospital. What if every individual was, we understood it, if every individual is a unique owner of his private body and the health of that body. And then every individual will learn how to make that body healthy. If we facilitated that by helping the person save money. You know? So that is called human right. So the health of the people is a human right. We say that in words, but we don't do it in action. So cryptocurrency helps us to realize health as a human right. It's a cryptocurrency, Ubricoins, enables us to realize health as a human right. This is realized health. And that is the key. Just like every individual is the rightful owner, is the unique owner of the telephone by you and the government. But it wasn't the same about 20 years ago. The telephone was owned by Kenya Postal Communication, and they could come and remove it from you. Now this is the point I would like all of us to appreciate. There was a time when telephone was owned by the third party, let's call the government, and they had the right to come and take your telephone and install a telephone. You applied for a telephone from them, and this is the way. That is where health is today. Unless we think different about health as a human right, and we are saying that cryptocurrency will enable us, just like a wireless communication and of course cellular communication help us to understand the freedom or the human right, the right to ownership of communication. That what I talk to somebody else is uniquely owned by me. It's not owned by the government or any other person. You see? Similarly, you know for that something that we have to work, you have to introduce a technology. So cryptocurrency is a technology that comes to underline that health, every individual is a unique owner of his health, and that can only be done through cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency is certainly decentralized. So we're going to think how we can do work with the Ministry of Education. See, I have worked with education when I was a medical student. We did a project on epilepsy in Kenya, and we did it through the Ministry of Education. And we found that we were working for SIBA Gay at that time. It was called Novartis. It's called Epilepsy Education Program. So we started it as medical students in the University of Nairobi, and I can tell you the response was very huge. So getting through the education system, the school system, we can get a lot of money. We have done some work initially beginning with Steph Joy High School. You know, Steph Joy High School in the Mulu, they have a year annual camp, student camp, twice a year, and they invited us to help them do those camps. Yeah. and we did it for 2 years with them. And we found that students are very interested. That time Ubricoin was not finished. It's going to be built in 2018. Maybe 2018 we did 2 camps. 2019 we did 1 camp, then of course Corona came, and so we haven't done that camp. But
So what did you do in the camp?
well, those camps started in an interesting fashion. The owner of Self-Joy came to talk to me and tell me that she needs help with her daughter. I think it was, this mother-daughter issue. He said, can you speak to my daughter? The daughter wanted to leave the country and get out of here. But the mother wants the daughter to stay and run the schools. So she came and talked to me all that story, saying my daughter is so difficult, it's not easy to run the school. So the daughter came and she said, my mother doesn't understand. The school is not my project. It is her project. Why does she want me to work? I want to go out and see the world. She wanted to go to Germany, then Canada and all that. I don't have, this is what you're going to do. There's something I read about by Jim Collins called The Genius of Art. The genius of art. Jim Collins has written 2 books. One he called, I don't remember the first. The second one is Good to Great. Maybe you've heard that term, Good to Great. He examined 100 companies that are the richest company in the US that have survived for 100 years. And he was trying to find out what makes these companies great. One of the things Jim Collins found in those companies is what's called the genius of the ant. The ant is that being able to hold two seemingly conflicting or contradicting positions and then let them work together. Here we have a daughter who doesn't want to stay in school and stay and run the school for her mother. She wants to go to Europe and see the world. And I said to the daughter, you can have both of them at once. She said, let me tell you something. What does your mother like to do most for your school? She told me things, and then she always comes for the schools. I said, what are you going to do? You can have a camp, help her produce those camps. But those camps are going to be scientific camps that are going to enable you to reach and to the communities out there where you want to go. So I said, let's have a scientific camp. Instead of just having camps as Self-Joy, just whatever your mother was doing, we had science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. When you do that, you can reach out to people in Germany, you can reach out to people in Canada, you can reach out to the USA. They have very intensive programs on science. We create a STEM camp, which is called STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Mathematics. You can write to Japanese people, you can write to the Germans, and that you will support now. You can now go to Germany and you're supporting them. It's like that camp. So we have young students, they are graduating students who are going to go to university next level. We talk about scientific subjects. That's why we able to talk about Ubricoin with them. And of course, that's also an opportunity when you can speak about diabetes and things like that, because it's very, very scientific. And we can have STEM camps for diabetes, because diabetes eventually is science, biological science. And we bring speakers, and that's STEM camp managed to help us to bring a lot of good speakers to students. We got the head of NACOSTI, National Council of Science and Technology, who we didn't know before, but she helps us to know a lot of people. The SEMASTIA team, some professors from universities to come and speak to students about different projects. Because the country itself takes a whole week. Yeah. So that lady herself did not leave the country. She went to University of Nairobi to study. She wanted she went back to Kabete and studied Kabete campus business operations. She told me she's going to write her project on Ubricoin, in blockchain. She studied blockchain, and she gave me her thesis. Last year she was graduating in December. She gave me her thesis which was about cryptocurrency and Ubrica. So that is what has happened. And of course, it's easy, we can mobilize students, even say from all the way from that level, from the ground to the high ones. We can have students doing research on diabetes in the country if they are motivated the right way. Why this lady studied blockchain? Because she was asking me, she was telling me she wanted to study corruption. I said, corruption is like darkness. I told her that corruption is nothing. There's nothing you can study there. It's like studying darkness. Did you know that there's no darkness? Darkness is absence of light. So you did not hear people like Einstein studying darkness to see how darkness comes. And they have an equation for darkness, and the E_mc squared, which is the equation of light. There is no such thing. So study the light side. The light side is money, and money without corruption is noiseless money, is cryptocurrency and Ubricoin. If you really want to study, you cannot, because corruption being like darkness, all you have to do is shine the light and darkness disappears. Shine the light so there's no more darkness, goes away. So corruption, there's no such thing as a physical product, material product, which is corruption. The material product that you have on your laptop is something you can shine on that darkness and disappears. Now, I believe that cryptocurrency is a way you can shine the light on corruption and you see corruption evaporating. Yeah. So her corruption study became a blockchain study. Yeah. Yeah, of course we did STEM camps. Yeah, and which of course STEM has got a lot of support in the United States. That if you have young people who learn science, they get scholarship, and they're really good in science, they get scholarship straight away to the US. Yeah. This is why you say, some people say there is a straight path between here and MIT, between Kenya and MIT. Where is that? The path is in science. So we know that if we bring science also very big one, we are going to access support from people like American Diabetes Association. I know they have a program, the American Diabetes Association for Global Health. We can access universities, like Emory University, they have a huge global health program. We have the non-communicable diseases. We have in the US government, National Institute of Non-Communicable Diseases. All that data is not well known. What's happening, and money they have allocated for National Institute of Non-Communicable Diseases just gets taken back to the government as an claim. There is money that is being returned to government because they are not takers, particularly for global health perspective. I say let's lead the people in global health. So in terms of support from outside there is the diaspora itself, who is active immediately and start buying Ubricoin. But as we go along, the proposal for the project itself, if we like a proposal that can be presented to the National Institute of Health, the National Institute of Non-Communicable Diseases in the United States, and and places like Emory University, I know Harvard School of Public Health, they have programs, they have places like UC Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley, that have interesting projects. And Berkeley is very, very interesting, and Stanford, because, Stanford medicine. Then, in Stanford, they are very highly information tech oriented. Information tech oriented at Stanford. Stanford is in Silicon Valley. You could say Stanford is like the mother of Silicon Valley. Yeah, so those are the places outside where you can get it. Yeah, even going on with the STEM program, really, with the STEM job.
I think there's a lot we can do together.
Yeah.
I am from the discussions we have had, and see how to actualize it, in terms of the proposal. The urgent, immediate one is the one of this, the one that the retail
Yeah, clinical centers.
clinical centers that we can have, that would offer, that would have room for both of us. We have started going out. We go, well, there's one center, we are looking at two places. One is these two centers, Carica, but that's more with the elderly people. But that is a gateway to open us up to the remoter area, so that we are going just
You guys
to,
were here, satellite?
yes,
Oh.
it's a group of people who have retired.
Oh, yeah.
But we want to kind of like use that as a stepping stone. By going screening there, we also get to know more about the place and where we can, in the marketplace, and where we can be able to get a place where we can be able to hire some rooms and see if we can be able to have that now, where we are able to educate them and also screen them, educate them on the Soko janja in the market. And also, and Anaya, and where else? There was Anaya. Yes, yes.
Waiting. Yeah, but I was there a long time ago.
I can't tell to come from there.
They messed up the coffee.
The coffee industry.
Yeah. So yeah, we can go to a site, be nice. And the other place we had identified was where the Rai,
Someone is still.
we are still working on it.
Yeah.
At least we really seriously want to go out, and now we can at least go and see and learn a bit, then come and have a chat with you and your people also. Once at least we have kind of like identified, seen the people, their reception, talked a bit. You can have one of your foot soldiers come with us and just also interact with people when we are having the screening. That's what we are thinking. As we screen people, they can also have pamphlets about Soko janja and start sharing with them how,
Particularly for Uganda, because of the agricultural products that are produced there. Because you have the washes, the plomas, the marjani, whatever. So it would be so easy, the combination.
we really will offer that. And I think in any other medical camp that you go out, we will be having a tent for you, so that you are there adding value to the local people, talking to them how they can also be involved in this. Because I'm sure even sending company, the send company, have networks everywhere. So, and that's one of the things that the Kenyan person has really been struggling.
Yeah, they don't know how
They
to
don't know
sell
where to
something
sell. Yeah, they don't know. So they wait for that.
How do they reach people in Mombasa?
Yeah, at a better value.
So they can get you someone to come and pick.
And sell. So I think that we definitely have a lot going for us in that sense. For the school project, I think that's also something that we want to get Sanofi on board. But we want to see Sanofi tend to have already manufactured. We're having a meeting with them on Tuesday. They already have published online things. We found value when children came up with their own materials. So we want to see how we can merge both. And also mention to them, would want them to have these other components. Or we teach them how to have a vegetable garden. How can you add value to it? Because that's how you come in.
Yeah, you see that. For example, Sanofi. We had a big discussion with those large companies. And when I was in US, how does the right company like that get, to share their technology all the time? There's a guy who wrote a book known as Capitalism at the Crossroads, Stuart Hart. Stuart Hart is, business consultant in the United States. He speaks to these large companies, and such large corporations like Sanofi, they have in-depth scientific knowledge. You see, they know this molecular biology of making these medicines, but that knowledge is not easy to break it down, to the wananchi on the ground. So that how does that work? Yeah. So, and that is something that we explore deeply and see how, and I think this is where Sanofi, even in that education program, can help a lot, even to see how the knowledge, the scientists in Sanofi. Sanofi has scientists up there. Sanofi is French. I was in France for a while, last Sanofi was very big there. Yeah. So, Sanofi is in the lab. They're not in still anymore. But they can help us even to work directly with some of the scientists to teach these young people value addition, because they have a lot of knowledge. It's just that their knowledge is so high
Up there.
It's very high up. It seems like it can't reach the ground. But our young kids know, and that's what we were doing with this daughter who wanted to leave. I told her, don't leave. All the knowledge is in here. And she didn't leave, and she stayed. And we worked the science technology education program. So,
and then also with the STEM, we can also see how we can feed teams.
Yeah.
And we're talking to these young graduates, high school graduates.
Yeah.
I think so. There are things that we can work on. Yeah.
Yeah. These guys at this school, what is it? The STEM program, they added an A. They said we need to add arts. And I said arts and science is a year, of course. A lot of these things, graphics like this, of course. Graphics are artistic. So we call it STEAM, STEAM. Science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And when it's structured like that, then even Sanofi knows them. They know what it is. Maybe if they're talking about the French side, they don't call it STEM in France. But in the US side, the Sanofi in the US, they totally understand STEM and how it works with high schools. That this comes, the STEM comes, Sanofi can support them to say they're supporting STEM education in Africa as well. Now, our government agency that deals with STEM is Semastia. Semastia is STEM in other words, because it's a center for engineering, mathematics in Africa. Center for Science, Center of Semastia, Center for Science, Engineering, Mathematics, and Technology in Africa. But basically, it's the word STEM that they have just corrupted and jumbled it like that. I used to think it's a big company. Because what is this, the Semastia? Which is Semastia? Yeah, and Semastia also is very interested because it was created all the way back in 1976 for Ministry of Education, but it has had no impact. There's no impact. I think when the people I found as the leaders in Semastia, if we down the road, we can see how we can go in diseases and health. They link artwork to Camry, but Camry is for later when people are graduating. They have already doctors, but the Semastia is for high school and secondary schools.
You know that Florence,
Florence who? From what team?
she used to be a senior science, but she's very good in mathematics.
Yeah, I knew Florence. long time ago when I was near 1970s. I didn't know she became a doctor.
She's actually a professor now.
Are you kidding?
She's a professor. And she comes from Betima.
I don't know. Well, I knew her as a child. I didn't know she became a professor.
Now time is long gone. It's already 11.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.